Hi, first grade friends. It's Mrs. Saul again, and I'm here to do another read aloud lesson with you today. Today we're going to read a book about the rainforest. And last week for homework, or your work you're doing from home, you had an article that you had to read about the rainforest. It was called Home Sweet Home. And after you read it, you had a chance to write down what you thought the main idea was and some details. So I thought this would be a good book to read today because I think you guys have a little background about the rainforest now. So we're going to read a book called The Great Kapok Tree. And this was written and illustrated by Lynn Cherry. And in this story, a man goes into the rainforest with an axe to cut down some trees. But he falls asleep. And as he's sleeping, different creatures in the rainforest whisper in his ear. Now, you probably guessed, this is a fiction story. Creatures wouldn't be able to whisper into a person's ear and we would understand what they were saying. So this is a fiction book. However, it really teaches us some important information about the rainforest, the animals that live there, and it also teaches us what can happen if we don't take care of our rainforests in the world. So as I'm reading it, I want you to think about what the story might be telling us about our environment. So even though it's fiction, I think you're going to learn some things. And what happens when people destroy it. Okay, so here we go. Let's read The Great Kapok Tree. Oh, right away I noticed, boys and girls, I have some words here. And we should not skip words if an author put them there because they probably want us to read it. And when I look, it actually says, "Dear readers." That's us. So we should read this. I think that the author might be writing us a letter. I wrote The Great Kapok Tree to let the world know what happens to the rainforest creatures and to the entire planet when rainforests are destroyed. I hope that after reading this book, you will help save the rainforests. The Great Kapok Tree is about the Amazon rainforest, a tropical rainforest. But we have a temperate rainforest in the Pacific Northwest of the United States that we must protect too. So this story takes place in the Amazon rainforest, but we do have a rainforest in the United States. It's not as hot, doesn't have the same kind of temperatures, the same kind of weather as in the Amazon rainforest. Please care for Mother Earth. Together, we can make a difference. Lynn Cherry. And this book was written in 1993, boys and girls. And she wrote this, you can see the date, in 1993. Oh, wow, look at this. This is really nice. I know some people that are going to enjoy looking at this map. And this is a map of the world, okay? And if I look carefully, when I look at a map, if I look carefully, I should be able to find a map key that tells me, what am I looking at here? So let's take a look. Well, I see a map of the world, and I see that most of the world is like an orangish color, the land, but I notice that some of it is green, that there's green spots. So I can tell that this is showing us where rainforests are in the world. Okay, so here in South America is a big section of rainforest, a lot of rainforest there, and that's where you can see it labeled the Amazon rainforest is, and that's the rainforest we're going to be reading about today. Here in North America, I can see there's another one here, Central America, sorry. Down here in Africa, India. Over here in Asia, there's some more rainforests. Look at all of these, the Philippines and Malaysia and Indonesia and New Guinea. These are all islands that are actually rainforests. And there's a few in Australia. Most of them, if you notice, are in the middle. This is the equator, which is an imaginary line that kind of goes across the middle of the earth. And many of them are around the equator. These are the hottest places in the world. And when you go north, we don't see any rainforests. And when you go down far south, you don't see any there either. This map is also showing me the parts of a rainforest. So a rainforest is actually broken up into levels. So we have the emergent, well, let me start at the bottom. We have the understory. This is the bottom, and it shows some of the plants and animals that live in the bottom part of the rainforest. Then you have the middle layer of the rainforest, okay? Then you have the canopy, that's near the top of the trees. And then you have the emergent level up here. This is where some trees and animals go above the canopy part of the rainforest. Lynn Cherry also drew and labeled a whole bunch of different animals you might find in the rainforest. I would like to start our story though, so I'm not gonna have time to look at all of those, but I'm gonna give you a second and I'll show you the page. And if you wanna pause the video and really take a closer look, you can do that, okay? Okay, so here we go. Uh-oh, I see more words. Friends, I think I should probably read these words too. I don't think I should ignore them. There's a lot going on here. Let's see. In the Amazon rainforest, it is always hot. And in that heat, everything grows and grows and grows. I think maybe here she's telling us a little bit about the Amazon rainforest. The tops of the trees in the rainforest are called the canopy. The canopy is a sunny place that touches the sky. The animals that live there like lots of light. So this is like what I was just showing you on this page where it showed us about the layers of the rainforest. So the canopy is the top part where you have more light, and the animals that live there like a lot of light. Colorful parrots fly from tree to tree. Monkeys leap from branch to branch. The bottom of the rainforest is called the understory. The animals that live in the understory like darkness. There, silent snakes curl around hanging vines. Graceful jaguars watch and wait. And in this steamy environment, the great kapok tree shoots up through the forest and emerges above the canopy. This is the story of a community of animals that live in one such tree in the rainforest. Okay, so remember again, over here, we saw emergence. Those are trees that go up above the canopy. The great kapok tree, or a kapok tree, which is a real kind of tree, goes up above the canopy. So it starts at the bottom, obviously, grows out of the ground, and goes all the way up and out of the canopy. Here we go. Two men walked into the rainforest. Moments before, the forest had been alive with the sounds of squawking birds and howling monkeys. Now all was quiet as the creatures watched the two men and wondered why they had come. The larger man stopped and pointed to a great kapok tree. Then he left. Okay, so take a look down here. You can see one man and another, okay? And this man pointed at the kapok tree and then he left. The smaller man took the axe he carried and struck the trunk of the tree. Whack, whack, whack. Oh, well now we know why he's there. So it looks like the other man was showing this guy, hey, that tree right there. I think he pointed to it to show him which tree he wanted him to cut down. The sounds of the blows rang through the forest. The wood of the tree was very hard. Chop, chop, chop. The man wiped off the sweat that ran down his face and neck. Whack, chop, whack, chop. So you can see here, friends, that he is starting to cut down this tree. Now, this is not going to be an easy job with a little axe, okay? He's been whacking and chopping for a while, and look, that's all that he's done so far. Soon the man grew tired. I would imagine that swinging an axe back and forth with all of your strength would make you very tired quickly. He sat down to rest at the foot of the great kapok tree. Before he knew it, the heat and hum of the forest had lulled him to sleep. So we knew this was going to happen because I kind of gave you a little clue, a little preview about that before we started reading. So now I want you to take a close look here. Look at all of the animals in the rainforest watching the man. They're watching what he's doing. And I'm gonna let you look, but I don't think they're very happy about with what they're seeing happening here. So take a look. So I see a snake over here in a tree. I see a monkey and a bird. Ooh, some kind of creature here, maybe a jaguar. They're all watching. I don't think they're very happy. A boa constrictor, that's a kind of snake, lived in the kapok tree. He slithered down its trunk to where the man was sleeping. He looked at the gash the axe had made in the tree. Then the huge snake slid very close to the man and hissed in his ear. "Senor, this tree is a tree of miracles. It is my home, where generations of my ancestors have lived. Do not chop it down." Oh, so this snake, look at him, whispering in his ear, said to him that many generations, many boa constrictors who are part of my family, who came before me, my parents and my grandparents and my great-grandparents, lived in this tree. Don't chop it down. A bee buzzed in the sleeping man's ear. "Senor, my hive is in this kapok tree, and I fly from tree to tree and flower to flower, collecting pollen. In this way, I pollinate the trees and flowers throughout the rainforest. You see, all living things depend on one another." So here is the bee. I'll show you close up here. There he is, whispering in the man's ear. And he's telling him that his hive is in the kapok tree. That's his home. He lives in a hive, in a beehive. And he's saying, I fly from flower to flower and pollinate them. Bees, boys and girls, are responsible for helping to more flowers to grow. So they take pollen from one flower and they bring it to another flower when they land, and that actually helps more flowers to grow. So he's saying, I pollinate trees and plants and flowers throughout the whole rainforest, because he doesn't just fly on flowers in his kapok tree. That's where his hive is. He flies all over the rainforest. So if his home, if you cut down the tree, his hive will be destroyed and he won't have a home. And then who is going to pollinate the flowers and the plants in the rainforest? And look at all these beautiful butterflies all around. Wow, isn't Lynn Cherry an exceptional artist? I love how she drew all of these. A troop of monkeys scampered down from the canopy of the kapok tree. They chattered to the sleeping man. "Senor, we have seen the ways of man. You chop down one tree, then come back for another and another. The roots of these great trees will wither and die, and there will be nothing left to hold the earth in place. When the heavy rains come, the soil will be washed away, and the forest will become a desert." So this is what the monkeys have whispered in his ear. They said, we have seen what people like you do. When they say we see what the ways of man, they're talking about human beings, okay? Not just men instead of women, humans. So they're talking about, we see what people do. You chop down trees and you come back for more and you keep chopping. And soon, once you chop down these trees, all the roots from the trees will die. And then they'll wash away when the rains come. And there will be nothing left but just blank, empty land. So, friends, I think that these monkeys are giving him another example of why he should not cut down this tree. Okay? A toucan, a macaw, and a cock of the rock flew down from the canopy. So these are 3 different kinds of birds. This is a toucan, a macaw, and this bird is called a cock of the rock. And they said, "Señor," squawked the toucan, "you must not cut down this tree. We have flown over the rainforest and seen what happens once you begin to chop down the trees. Many people settle on the land. They set fires to clear the underbrush, and soon the forest disappears. Where once there was life and beauty, only black and smoldering ruins remain." So the toucan here is whispering in his ear, and he's saying, where once there was life and beauty, only black and smoldering ruins remain. I think the toucan is trying to show how cutting down trees is leaving nothing behind. So the trees and all the plants and flowers that grow there are beautiful. We can see that. I mean, look around how beautiful everything is, all the colors. And when they chop everything down, what they do is after they chop down all those big trees and pull out the big plants, they kind of burn everything else so that all that's left is just flat, empty land. And that's where they're building buildings and houses. And the toucan is saying, when you take all this away, it doesn't look beautiful anymore. And as we've learned from the other animals, they don't have homes anymore. A bright and small tree frog crawled along the edge of a leaf. In a squeaky voice, he piped in the man's ear, "Señor, a ruined rainforest means ruined lives. Many ruined lives. You will leave many of us homeless if you chop down this great kapok tree." So here is, I'm going to show you nice and close. Here's the little frogs. Oh, it's this guy, sorry. He's whispering in his ear. That's a little tree frog, but you can see a whole bunch of tree frogs here, different colors. And they're telling him, if you chop down the tree, that means you're going to ruin the lives for all of us who live in this tree. We're not going to have homes. A jaguar had been sleeping in the branch, along a branch in the middle of the tree. Because his spotted coat blended into the dappled light and shadows of the understory, no one had noticed him. Now he leapt down and padded silently over to the sleeping man. He growled in his ear, "Señor, the kapok tree is home to many birds and animals. If you cut it down, where will I find my dinner?" Wow, so here is that jaguar. Look how beautiful Lynn Cherry drew that jaguar. Isn't it amazing? I mean, it looks real, right? Look real close. So beautiful. She's an amazing artist. And she is telling us what the jaguar has whispered in the man's ear. Can you stop for a minute and let's pause? And if you have someone near you, can you turn and talk to them and tell them, why is the tree so important to the jaguar? I'm going to give you a minute and I'm going to think about that question too. Why is the tree so important to the jaguar? Three, two, one. Okay, so I was thinking about what the jaguar had said. And the jaguar had said, the tree is home to many birds and other animals, which we already knew because we've heard a whole bunch of animals tell him. But the jaguar said, if you cut it down, where am I going to find my dinner? That tells me, friends, well, it sounds kind of sad. The jaguar eats a whole bunch of these animals that have already whispered in the man's ear. And he's saying, if you cut down this tree, I'm not going to have food to eat because those animals that live in this tree are not going to be there for me to eat anymore. I hope that you thought the same thing. 4 tree porcupines swung down from branch to branch and whispered to the man, "Senor, do you know what we animals and humans need in order to live? Oxygen. And Senor, do you know what trees produce? Oxygen. If you cut down the forests, you will destroy that which gives us all life." Boys and girls, wow, you know what? All the things the animals have said so far, Mrs. Saul was thinking, oh, well, that makes sense. I know that, bees build a hive in a tree. And I know that tree frogs live in trees. And I know that birds live in trees and they make nests and they sit on the branches. And I know that jaguars climb and they usually lay on a big branch of a tree. But I forgot something so important that these porcupines just reminded me of. Trees make oxygen. And I need oxygen to breathe, and you need oxygen to breathe, and all of these animals need oxygen to breathe. And if they cut down all these trees, they're not going to be able to make oxygen for us to breathe. Wow, if we can't breathe, we can't survive. Look how cute those porcupine faces are. Aren't they so sweet? And here's the one whispering in his ear. Several anteaters climbed down the kapok tree with their young clinging to their backs. The unstriped anteater said to the sleeping man, "Senor, you are chopping down this tree with no thought for the future. And surely you know that what happens tomorrow depends on what you do today. The big man tells you to chop down a beautiful tree. He does not think of his own children, who tomorrow must live in a world without trees." Wow, that was pretty powerful, boys and girls. I don't know if you paid attention to what the porcupine said, but I'm going to repeat it in case you missed it. The porcupine said, what happens tomorrow depends on what happens today. That's pretty heavy. I know you're only in first grade, but that is so true. If this man cuts down the tree, this is going to greatly affect the rainforest. And boys and girls, I want you to understand, while they're really speaking about one tree, one kapok tree in the rainforest that this man is currently chopping down, people who chop down trees in the rainforest don't usually just chop down one. They chop down a whole lot. So this is so important what the anteater said, because if he chops down this tree, it's going to affect so many living things, not just the anteater, not just the porcupines, not just the jaguar and the birds and the frogs. It's going to affect everybody, including this man himself and the man who told him to chop down the tree. It's going to affect our whole world. A 3-toed sloth had begun climbing down from the canopy when the men first appeared. Mrs. Saul is giggling here because I happen to know in my schema that sloths are really slow animals. So the author said that the sloth had begun climbing when the man first appeared in the rainforest. He had started climbing down, and it's taken him all this time to finally get down by the man. So that's kind of made me giggle a little bit. Only now did she reach the ground, plodding ever so slowly over to the sleeping man. She spoke in her deep and lazy voice. Friends, I love that the author told me that the sloth spoke in her deep and sleepy voice, because we know as readers we should try to make our voices sound like the characters. You probably noticed that I was doing that throughout the book. I tried to change my voice a little bit for each kind of animal, but the author really helped me here because she told me how the sloth's voice should sound. First of all, I know it's a she, So I'm going to try to use more of a girl sounding voice. I also know that her voice is deep and lazy. Lazy tells me I have to talk in a deep, slow kind of voice, which I imagine a sloth would have. So I'm going to give it my best shot. So listen to how I think the sloth should sound. Senor, how much is beauty worth? Can you live without it? If you destroy the beauty of the rainforest, on what would you feast your eyes? Ooh, I'm going to think about that again because I was focusing on making my voice sound like this sloth. So I want to think about what she said again. How much is beauty worth? Can you live without it? If you destroy the beauty of the rainforest, on what would you feast your eyes? Friends, sometimes when we're reading, we need to go back and read again so we can better understand what we said, especially when we're focusing on our sound of our voice. We have to go back and think. So she is saying, what is beauty worth to you? Can you live without beauty? Because the rainforest is so beautiful. If you chop it down and it's not there anymore, what kinds of beautiful things will you have left to look at? Wow, boys and girls, this is such a powerful book, and these animals are making such important points about why we need to protect our rainforests. I hope you're learning as much as me. Oh, I'm going to show you that cute sloth's face. And look, she's carrying her little baby with her. So sweet. A child from the Yanomamo tribe who lived in the rainforest knelt over the sleeping man. He murmured in his ear, "Senor, when you awake, please look upon us all with new eyes." Oh, I see some more animals here too. See them? And here's the boy whispering. He's telling him, when you wake up, I want you to look at all of us, all the animals, and me, with new eyes. Now, boys and girls, let's stop for a minute here because this is a little bit of figurative language. That means fancy book language here, or fancy language that we hear people say sometimes. So when the boy says, I want you to look upon us with new eyes, do you think that means that he wants the man to get a new set of eyes? No, that's crazy. That's not what he means. What that means and why it's fancy language is because it doesn't mean exactly what it sounds like. The boy means that I want you to now that you've heard everything we all have to say about why you should not chop down this tree, I want you to wake up and look at things with a different perspective. Perspective is the way we see things. Not just I see something's red, I can see something shaped like a square. But how do we see things? How do the things we see all around us, what do they mean to us? So what the boy is saying is, I want you to look at this tree and all of the animals and me and think about it in a different way. Think about things from our perspective. Think about all the things we just told you about why the tree is important. The man awoke with a start. Before him stood the rainforest child, and all around him staring were the creatures who depended upon the great kapok tree. What wondrous and rare animals they were. Friends, this is my favorite page in the book, so I'm going to show it to you real close because I want you to see just how beautiful it is. Lynn Cherry did such an amazing job of painting these animals, and I want you to get a really good look at it and just look at the beauty of these animals and the plants and the tree. Take a look. She is just such an amazing artist. All those little details, all those little tiny creatures. Okay, there's little insects in there and birds. So so beautiful. The man looked about and saw the sun streaming through the canopy. Spots of bright light glowed like jewels amidst the dark green forest. Strange and beautiful plants seemed to dangle in the air, suspended from the great kapok tree. So he's stopping and he is looking. He's looking up. He's looking at the light shining down through the tree. He's looking at how the light glowed like little jewels. The rainforest is very wet, obviously, because it rains a lot. So when light shines on raindrops and shines on little droplets sitting on the plants, it makes them all different colors. And that's why he's saying they glowed like jewels. The man smelled the fragrant perfume of their flowers. I'm hearing a lot of words that are talking about our senses. So he sees the sun shining and on the raindrops like jewels. He's seeing the plants that are dangling in the air. It looks like they're just floating, but they're hanging from vines in the tree. Now he's smelling the fragrant perfume of the flowers. He felt the steamy mist rising from the forest floor. So they're telling us what he sees, what he smells, and now what he feels. He feels the steamy mist rising from the floor. The rainforest is very hot and wet, so it feels steamy, like when you just get out of the shower and your bathroom is all steamed up. But he heard no sound, for the creatures were strangely silent. Now, boys and girls, if you went into a rainforest, like when he first entered the rainforest, it's filled with lots of noises. There's so many animals there, and it's just constant noise of squawking and chirping and growling and scratching and scraping and crawling and all different noises. He hears nothing right now. It says the animals were strangely silent. Why do you think everything is so silent right now? Can you turn and talk to your elbow partner? Why do you think the animals, all the creatures, are quiet right now? 3, 2, 1. Okay, so here's what I think. I think that everybody, all the animals are quiet because I think they're waiting. They're waiting to see what the man is going to do. Is he going to continue to chop down this tree? It's kind of like when you're waiting to hear about a surprise. Mom and dad say, I have a surprise to tell you. And you go like this. What is it? I think that's what the animals are doing. They're waiting, not for a surprise, but to see what's he gonna do. I think they're nervous right now. And they're feeling like, what is gonna happen? Like an exciting part in a movie. What's gonna happen next? And you kind of hold your breath. I think that's what the animals are doing. They're waiting. They're unsure about what he's going to do. What do you think that the man's gonna do? Make a prediction before I turn the page. Okay, I know what my prediction is. I think he's not gonna chop down the tree. But I could be wrong. Predictions are not always correct. Let's see. The man stood and picked up his axe. He swung back his arm as though to strike the tree. Oh, I think maybe I'm wrong. Suddenly, he stopped. He turned and looked at the animals and the child. Oh my gosh, boys and girls, I feel like so anxious right now to find out because I thought he was going to leave, but now he's picked up the axe and he looks like he's ready to swing. But he stopped and he's looking around. Oh boy. I don't know if my prediction's right yet. He hesitated. Then he dropped the axe and walked out of the rainforest. Whew, I think I was right. So he did not chop down the tree. He dropped his axe and he left the rainforest. Boy, I was a little bit on the edge of my seat here, friends. So he really changed his mind here. He realized how beautiful and how important the kapok tree is. And I think Lynn Cherry was trying to show us with this book, boys and girls, how our actions as human beings, how our actions affect the environment that we live in. I want you to turn and talk to the person by you again. And I want you to talk about together. Listen to what they have to say too. Do you think this book will change the way you treat the world around you, the way you treat the environment? So have a discussion about that. And if you have some good thoughts, maybe send them to your teacher. So if you're in Mrs. Peters' class, send your ideas to her. Tell her how you think this book maybe will make you change how you take care of the environment or how you look at the world around you. If you're in Mrs. Kiefer's class, send a little note to her, or maybe even draw a picture, guys. Or if you're in Mrs. Grant's class, you can write a note or draw a picture to her. If you're in my class or Mrs. Marmo's class, write a note or draw a picture to your teacher. How did this book maybe change the way you think about the environment and the way you're going to treat it? Thank you so much, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed this story, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.